This is a patch of Shaggy Parasol mushrooms. And this is an urban mushroom. You can find these in the forest, but right now, I am just right next to U of O campus. You can see, just right on a walk path here. And these are super, super cool mushrooms. So rather than a mycorrhizal mushroom, which would be associating with the roots of trees, these are saprobic, and that means they're decaying. They are actively feeding on this kind of woody substrate and breaking it down into useful soil. So you'll find these in urban areas because they really like this wood chip substrate, and you'll find this a lot in landscaped areas. As you can see, I'm just right next to this building here, right next to a major road as well. So these guys will pop up pretty much wherever you might find this sort of substrate. So always keep your eyes open. You know, you can find these in a cityscape where you might not expect to find big flowers of these edible mushrooms. You'll notice that the tops of these caps kind of have this shag. That's why they're called Shaggy Parasols, is because they kind of look like an umbrella or a parasol, and they're shaggy on top. And I love how these look. They kind of remind me of like cobblestone. As you can see, I'll kind of walk around here, and there's a really old fruiting right here. These ones are a little past their prime, but you can just see how ubiquitously these fruit. And as we sort of walk over here, you'll find some more mature ones. This one is like picture perfect right here. Look at that guy. Shaggy Parasol. This is about as big as this particular variety gets. And this one has another really unique identifying feature, which is this ring along the stipe. Very particular, and you'll see that you can actually kind of move it up and down. It's not really fastened to the stipe in any way. As opposed to some mushrooms, that ring is really set where it is. This one, you can actually move it up and down the stipe. So that's another really easy way to tell these mushrooms. So you can see they kind of have this whitish gill, and again, that really cool cap on top. So these guys are really exciting to find. They're another one of my favorite ones to eat. So my plan here is to harvest some of these and take them home, and I'm gonna show you guys some cool recipes to do with these, and just general tips and tricks on cooking wild mushrooms in general. So yeah, look at that. I mean, I just love the look of that cap, and these things are just such classic looking mushrooms. Very, very exciting to find. Here is a younger specimen, and this one shows really well the partial veil. And that is this kind of ring of tissue around the base of the mushroom. And what this does is it protects the gills while they're developing. So this will cover up those gills while it's young, and when it's mature, this partial veil will break open and expose the gills so they can start dropping spores. So this one was just starting to break open. This is like ideal for how you want to find these mushrooms if you're going to take them home and cook them. You can definitely eat the mature ones, and I've collected a few of those, but this is like the stage that you really want to find them at. Just about when that partial veil breaks open. And this veil turns into that ring I was talking about, that movable ring on the stipe. So you'll see this one doesn't have that ring yet, because once this veil fully pops open, it actually creates that ring. So this is a perfect specimen to take home for the table. Just a really good example of that partial veil. When you're looking for mushrooms in a city setting, it's important to be prepared. So actually in my backpack at all times, I'll always have something to carry mushrooms, just in case I find them. Today, I actually just have this box folded up. It's actually like a box for a cat bed. But I'm gonna construct this box and just harvest these mushrooms, see how much of this I can fill up, and take them home. sometimes you really gotta get in there to get the good ones. Yes. Oh man, that's perfect. Look at that. Partial veil. That guy is beautiful. You're coming home with me, buddy. It's worth noting with these particular mushrooms too, the stem isn't really edible. It's very tough and very fibrous. Really the only thing you cook is the cap. So when you're harvesting them, it kind of helps just in terms of saving space to just get rid of that stipe. You know, a lot of times you can eat the stipe depending on the mushroom, but with these particular ones, yeah, it's so woody and fibrous that you don't even want to mess with it. So you can see that orangish red staining as soon as I snap that. By the time I get home with these, I'll show you guys, it's pretty much bright red. So tasty. So this one's going in the box. Okay, we're back home. I'm about to cook those mushrooms up, but before I do, I want to real quickly go over 3 tenets of cooking wild mushrooms. The first one may seem obvious, and that is to be 100% sure of your identification of a mushroom before you eat it. You need to be able to bet your life on it, because that's kind of what you're doing in a way. You know, you want to use resources, use books like this. You know, use the internet. If you have questions, maybe ask someone who's more knowledgeable about mushrooms. You just want to be totally sure of what mushroom you're cooking before that goes in the pan. The second tenet is if it's your first time with a new wild mushroom, like if you've never found Shaggy Parasols before, you want to cook a very small amount and eat that and give it about 24 hours in your system to make sure you don't have any intolerances to it. Because even with popular edible mushrooms, certain unlucky people have intolerances or, you know, allergies to mushrooms. So you want to make sure you're not one of those people. You know, what you don't want is to eat a whole meal with a new mushroom and then only later find out that your body just doesn't handle it well. Maybe it gives you GI upset. You know, you just don't tolerate it. You don't want to eat a whole bunch of it and then find that out. The third tenet is you want to be careful of where you harvest your mushrooms from. Mushrooms are really good oftentimes at sequestering heavy metals and other environmental pollutants. And so if it's an area that is maybe near a lot of industry or by a super busy road where there's just a lot of exhaust and pollutants getting put out into the air and the soil, you might want to avoid those mushrooms, because if they sequester enough of those pollutants, it can make you sick when you eat them. So like these Shaggy Parasols that I harvested, they're right on the borderline for me. These ones were close to a busy road and they were in an area that could have pesticide applications. But just for this one, I did really want to make this video, and there's some beautiful mushrooms. I'm not too worried about it, but that's the kind of thing you want to think about, is do these mushrooms come from a safe and clean place? If all 3 of those tenets are satisfied, you can go into the kitchen very confident that you're gonna have a great time and a great meal cooking the mushrooms you found, but you just wanna make sure that all 3 of those are satisfied before you go in. So anyways, enough of this, let's get into the kitchen and cook up some Shaggy Parasol mushrooms. All right, I've got my mise en place all ready here, and of course a nice, clean, tidy kitchen. That's how you always want to start this process, nice and tidy. For this recipe, I'm using small, full caps of the mushroom. I just like how it plates at the end. And then besides that, I've got some minced garlic, some minced mint, crushed red pepper flakes, and a little bit of salt and lemon. We're gonna go oil in the pan. This is medium heat. And then the mushrooms go in gill side down. A little bit more oil. I like to use a lot of oil when I'm cooking mushrooms. About 10 minutes later, you flip them and they should look just like this. Nice and golden brown, crispy on the edges. We're gonna hit it with a little bit of salt there, right in the pan. There's Lila watching TV while I'm cooking. And after about 5 more minutes, I'm gonna move these to the side and go in with the garlic. You just want to cook the raw off of this. I'd say a minute tops. You don't want to get it too browned. So actually cut the heat at this point, and then you're just going to run the mushrooms through that garlic, get some on top, and then hit it with that mint and a good pinch of that red crushed pepper flakes. I like that flavor, so I use a lot, but of course it's all to taste. And then voila, this is a perfect side dish. It goes great with steak if you're into that, but it's also just fantastic by itself. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Have fun with this recipe, have fun with Shaggy Parasols, and I'll see you guys on the next one.